Hello, welcome to another video about this move. Today we're gonna be talking about the inspection you need to do before you move in, which is so important and I feel like not enough people do it. So today we're gonna go over all the things you need to check before you move in. I moved into this apartment about a week ago, and the first day, like literally the day we got the keys, that's when I did the inspection with my landlord. I wish we could have done it before we signed the lease. That's like the best time to do it, but we didn't have the chance to do it, so it's okay. We did it the first day. I had a checklist, which I'm gonna show you in a second, and we just went around the whole apartment checking that everything was good. What we're doing here is just noticing the little issues, I guess, that the apartment has. That way, and taking pictures of them, that way when we give the apartment back, we have evidence that those were pre-existing, we didn't cause that. That way our landlord cannot blame it on us and there's no problems, disputes or anything like that, which is what we want. This is definitely like a win-win situation for your landlord and for yourself, because this ensures that you're gonna give back the apartment exactly the way you got it. And this also ensures that at the end of your lease, you're not gonna get charged for anything you didn't do. So yeah, let's just get started with the inspection. All right, so we are going to start an inspection with the walls. You just want to take note of any holes, any scratches, any water leaks that you see on the wall. Anything that has been patched up before, you want to take note of that. I mean, we're not trying to be super picky, but if this is something that bothers you, definitely let your landlord know. Also take a look at how the paint looks for this apartment in particular. Our landlord told us that it used to be yellow and they painted it white, but they did it themselves, and I can kind of see it here and there, which is fine. But if this is something, if you want to be super picky and this is something that bothers you, definitely let your landlord know. We didn't care, so we left it just like that. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing, which is outlets. All right, to check your outlets, I would recommend bringing something with you. I brought a little night light. You can bring your phone charger or anything. This was probably not the best choice because it has a sensor, because it's a night light. But yeah, you just want to bring something where you can check that all the outlets work, like this one. You also want to make sure that you take a look at the covers, make sure they're not burnt, cracked, and also make sure that it doesn't smell weird when you plug in your charger or whatever you're plugging in. That's very important. Make sure your smoke detectors work. You can actually test them by pressing the little button. And you should also ask your landlord when was the last time they changed the batteries for the detectors. They should be changed every year, and the whole device should be changed once every 10 years. Next, you want to check your thermostat. You gotta make sure that the temperature reading on the thermostat, it actually feels like it in the room. Maybe go to different rooms and check if the temperature is consistent throughout the whole apartment. That's very important. You should turn up the heat and make sure that the air coming out of the vents is actually warm, and do the same thing with the AC. And if you have one of those units that you put in the window, also check those. Or if you have a radiator, also check that. Next, you want to turn on all the lights in the apartment, not at the same time necessarily, but turn them all on and make sure they work properly. Also, again, check the covers to make sure there's no cracks, any burnt or any weird smells. We don't want any of that. And then you're gonna check the same things with the light fixtures, make sure it looks all good and safe. And if you see that there's any burnt out bulbs, make sure you tell your landlord to change them. They should do it before you move in. Now we're going to check our blinds and shades. Just make sure they open and close properly. Just inspect them a little bit, make sure that they don't have any holes, cracks, they're not damaged in any way, and if they are, take pictures of them. All right, so now we're gonna focus on flooring. I have hardwood floors, so I would look for any like scratches, dents, holes, anything like that. But if you have carpet, it's gonna be a different story. Just check for any stains, holes, any weird smells. Make sure that the carpet was installed properly and there's no nails poking out. That would not be nice. For the bathroom, it's probably gonna be a little bit different because you're most likely gonna have tile. So just make sure that there's no cracks, holes. Again, just make sure that it looks all fine. All right, now that we're in the bathroom, let's check the other little things that you need to check in here. All right, let's start with the toilet. You can flush the toilet. Just make sure that it works fine, that the bowl refills properly and quickly. Lift up the lid to make sure the seat is sturdy. Make sure that the toilet is not cracked or damaged, especially where the toilet meets the floor. You really want to check around there so there's no leaks or anything. For the sink, you want to turn on the faucet and check the water pressure. See how long it takes for the hot water to actually heat up and the cold water to get cold. And also make sure that there's no cracks, leaks, or damages on the bowl, the faucet, the pipes, anything in the plumbing underneath. Make sure that it's all good. While you're checking the pipes under the sink, just look at the storage area and make sure that it's clean, dry. And also there's no signs of insects or little animals. And you should also check the sturdiness of any shelves, built-ins, or any cabinets in the bathroom. Now for the shower, you're kind of gonna check the same thing. So check the water pressure, make sure the water heats up in a reasonable time, and also make sure that the water is clear, clean, and it drains properly. Also make sure that there's no excessive dripping after you turn it off. Oh, and don't forget to check the tiles and grab for any mold or chips. Overall, just make sure that you check everything. You take your time to check everything. Make sure that there's no mold on the ceiling or the walls or anything. There's no water leaks on the wall. That everything looks good. And if you have any concerns, obviously let your landlord know. For windows and doors, make sure you run your hand along the frame of each window and door just to feel for any leaks or drafts. Open and close every window and door just to make sure that they work properly. The most important part is making sure that all windows and doors lock properly and feel secure when you pull on them. You should never, ever, ever have an apartment with windows or doors that don't lock. Alright, so we already went over most things that you need to check in the bedroom, like walls, ceiling, flooring, the windows and stuff. The only thing I want to add is to check the closet. Make sure that the door is open and closed properly. In there, you just want to make sure that the shelves feel nice and sturdy. Also, look at the floors and just make sure that there's no like dead insects or anything down there. Everything should open and close very smoothly. You shouldn't have to struggle with it. And since we're already here, let's talk about the fuse box. I'm not sure why mine is in my room, but it is. Sometimes it can be at the entrance or the kitchen. Just make sure you know where it is. And also make sure that it's labeled properly just in case you ever have to flip one of them. But just check that it looks good, doesn't look damaged, it doesn't look like there's anything missing. You don't have to flip them while you do the inspection, but just make sure that everything looks good in there. Oh, and also another thing that I forgot to say is that if you have a ceiling fan, I don't have one, but if you have one, just make sure that you turn it on and make sure that it doesn't wobble, it doesn't make any weird noises, and it actually works properly. If you have in-unit laundry, make sure you check the washer and the dryer. Make sure that the lint trap is in good conditions. Also open it and close it a couple times just to make sure it works well. Also make sure that all the hoses and exhaust are attached and working properly. And you also want to watch for any water stains, mold, any weird smells that you get from the unit. Alright, now moving on to the kitchen, we're gonna start with the fridge. You want to check all the stripping around the door just to make sure that there's a proper seal. Open and close the door a few times just to make sure it works properly and it feels like it's actually sealed. Check that the light turns on when you open it and also make sure that it's cold enough. Also, if the fridge has a built-in water filter, make sure you test it. And also ask your landlord when was the last time they changed the filter and how often you're supposed to change it. And also, if it has an ice maker, make sure you test it, not only for proper operation, but also just to make sure that the ice tastes and smells okay. You also want to take note of any scratches or dents that your fridge might have. My landlord already knows about these, but I just want to make sure that I have proof that these were here before I moved in. Alright, so now for the stove and oven, you want to make sure that everything heats up the way it's supposed to and as fast as it should. Make sure you test all the burners, you turn them on and make sure they all work. You also want to make sure that nothing's loose. For example, we have this problem right here that we can take this off. That's not good. So this is definitely something we're looking to get fixed. But other than that, everything works fine. When you're doing your inspection, make sure you turn on the oven just to make sure that it warms up as quickly as it should. Also check around the door just to make sure that it's going to seal properly and all the heat is going to stay inside. For the cabinets, make sure you open and close them all because, for example, this one, you can see how loose it is. The hinges are not put in properly, so that could be an issue. This one was also completely out, but we already fixed it. So just make sure you just play around with them, make sure that they feel sturdy. So yeah, just make sure you take the time to open and close all of them just to make sure they all feel sturdy and well installed. If you have a built-in microwave, make sure you open and close the door just to make sure that it opens and closes properly. Maybe try it for a couple seconds. It works perfectly fine. This one also works as a wrench hood. So just check the light, check the fan. I know this might feel a bit tedious, but you need to do it. Like, seriously, you're gonna thank me in the future. All right, the last thing we're gonna check here is the sink. We're gonna do the same thing within the bathroom. Just make sure the pressure is good. Make sure the hot water is hot, that the cold water is cold. If you have a garbage disposal, make sure you turn that on for a few seconds. Maybe try to throw some ice cubes in there. See if the noise that it makes is consistent and smooth. Try to see if you get any weird odors that you're not supposed to be getting. Also check the faucet and under the sink for any damages or water leaks. Make sure that there's no cracks anywhere and you should be good. All right, I feel like this video definitely helped to know what you need to check when you go for your apartment inspection. But just so you don't forget anything, I'm gonna leave a really good checklist that I found. I'm gonna leave it down below in the description section just in case you want it. It's right there. You can print it, you can use it, modify, you can do anything you want. I actually brought that checklist with me because I really did not want to forget anything. I had to modify mine a little bit just to fit this apartment a little bit better because there's a couple of things that weren't there, and you might have to do the same thing with your apartment, but most of the things we talked about today are on there. So yeah, good luck with your new apartment and your new landlord. I know that moving can be super exciting, but it can also be a little bit nerve-wracking. So I really hope this video helped even just a little bit. If it did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe down below. Also, make sure you follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!